Clear for takeoff, 782 Juliet Bravo, no delay.
I don't think this needs any introduction.
If you're over like vegetation, it sucks you down. Increased aspect ratio can make it much more sensitive to turbulence.
This is really cool.
Since we cleaned the plane, we'll see if it goes any faster.
A beaver on floats.
Santa Monica Pier right there, that's cool. All of a sudden, just break your windscreen.
Come with us. This is a gorgeous trip.
Welcome back to Winging It. Today we're heading up to an airport called Delta Victor Oscar of Gnoss Field. It's an uncontrolled airport. Sometimes the traffic around there can get kind of hairy in that area. If you're not familiar, you may want to take a look at traffic patterns and things. We're going to head up there so we can hopefully do some bicycle riding up in the Sausalito area. And probably the best airport up there, so come join us. Tower 782 Juliet Bravo, Mooney. Holding short 21 on Bravo 5, ready to go.
Number 782 Juliet Bravo, Santa Monica Tower, traffic Cherokee 2 mile, final runway 21, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 782 Juliet Bravo, no delay.
Stall.
Santa Monica Tower, Cessna 7960 Papa. I don't have that traffic in sight. Am I clear to turn base?
Number 60 Papa negative, they're over the freeway interchange.
60 Papa.
Number 2 Juliet Bravo, when you reach the shoreline, remain over the water for opposite direction traffic, and I'll let you know when you can start your turn. Just continue along the shoreline, so you can begin your right turn, but I'll let you know when you can begin your northwest turn, or when you can go inland.
Roger, we'll stay out over the water, 782 Juliet Bravo. Okay. It's the Santa Monica Pier right there, that's cool.
Number 2 Juliet Bravo, traffic should be no factor. Contact SoCal approach 134.2 and resume nav. See you later.
Thanks for your help, 34-2. Good day, Juliet Bravo. And SoCal, Mooney 782 Juliet Bravo through 2,200.
Mooney 782 Juliet Bravo SoCal approach, IDA and altimeter 2995. What are you climbing to?
2995. Ideally, we want to go to 10,500. 782 Juliet Bravo.
Juliet Bravo, Roger. Just stay underneath the Bravo in the climb, and once you're north of it, you can continue all the way up.
Appreciate it, 782 Juliet Bravo. There we are again, roughly at 7.5 degree pitch up, full power, and you can see that gets us about 120 on the climb. Now, I didn't feel much of a temperature inversion today, which is nice.
Number 2 Juliet Bravo, traffic 10 o'clock, 4 miles, eastbound, 5,500 indicated, not talking to them.
Yeah, on screen looking for him, 782 Juliet Bravo. That's that guy right there, 200 feet above us, so we should be able to climb past him.
Juliet Bravo, traffic no factor, approach 128.75.
Yeah, we were going to call you, but you're busy. 2875, have a great day. 2 Juliet Bravo. Since we cleaned the plane, we'll see if it goes any faster. We put the autopilot on, and we put a roll function on first, and then we put the altitude function, or a pitch function on next. Right now we're really heavy,
13435.
in order to get that same pitch, or that same coefficient of lift, so you can get the same indicated airspeed, goes by the 3/2 power of the weight. So for instance, if you're 10% overweight, you need roughly 15% more power to get to that same speed. Right now we're really full. We'll see what the plane really does, how it performs. The tanks are really topped off. We're right at 3360, and the maximum weight of this plane is 3368. Maximum takeoff weight. Put the weather in there when we get there, and it's 100 at 7 knots, 10 statute miles, clear. So it'll clearly be runway 13, which is nice because the FBO is down there, so.
Yep.
Turbulence going over the mountains here. Could go up a little higher, but 1620 on the TOTs. Let's see if that probe is working. And no, it's still not working. The EGT probe. I'll have to put one of those in. I'm going to say we should probably climb a little bit. 782 Juliet Bravo is going to take it up to 12,500. It's got some interesting pockets there, and I think if we get up a little higher, we won't have any of that. No sense in suffering down here if we don't have to. VY in the airplane is 104. 85 is the purported VX, but in actuality with propeller airplanes, the VX is oftentimes just above stall, and you may find yourself you're having to go a little bit less than reported VX and try and clear trees or something of that nature. You can do that with propeller-powered airplanes. The reason that is because they create the max thrust actually when the plane is standing still. So, as soon as it's flying just above stall speed, oftentimes that's the greatest area of excess thrust that you have, which, as you know, is VX is excess thrust, VY is excess power. So excess thrust is going to get you your VX and best angle of climb. And sometimes to clear obstacles, you may have to go a little less than the book reported in real life VX. I picked up a lot of speed up here, actually. So we'll be there shorter. As we get past these mountains, we might be able to go down a little bit more. But it's smoother up here. This blue area, now, it was military airspace, but now, from 8,000 to 19, it's air refueling. So they can actually be, busy in-flight refueling of the military aircraft, so that they're not going to be able to maneuver. So you have to keep an eye out for them if you're in that area. So running 207, 206, 207, and occasionally 208 knots. That's just a wonderful, wonderful airplane. So, one thing that's interesting, I think, is turbulence in an airplane. Probably one of the most important things. It's inversely proportional to the weight. Obviously, the density, altitude, the less dense the air, less turbulence. But each plane is certified for at least a 30-knot gust factor, is what we call it, or KU. It's important because in gusts, the actual lift of the airplane changes. So that makes the wing jump because you're changing the lift, so all of a sudden now you have more lift. Negative gusts and positive gusts with updrafts, downdrafts, especially near thunderstorms. And I didn't talk about this last time, but probably the most dangerous thing about thunderstorms, I mean, obviously if you fly below VA, as long as you don't lose complete control of the airplane, you can handle the updrafts and downdrafts sometimes more than 2,000 feet per minute. But if you get near hail, you can actually all of a sudden just break your windscreen. Come right through it. I've seen it actually sandblasts, if you may, the paint off the leading edge of an airplane. So thunderstorms can be very dangerous. But then again, you can't go by necessarily the colors on the NEXRAD. I've been through areas that are red because the air traffic controllers actually routed me through them knowing that there was no convection there. So just because it's heavy precipitation doesn't mean there's necessarily going to be convection.
Center 128.7.
I really like using the CAPES, the cumulative available potential energy that you...
November 2 Juliet Bravo, contact production open center 128.7.
28.7 now, thanks. Have a great day. 782 Juliet Bravo. So, looking at the SKU-T log P diagrams, you can learn a lot from that about the actual weather and whether or not there's going to be a significant amount of convection. One of the things that makes an airplane more stable, not only the bigger plane with weight, but even on a smaller airplane, is going to be the slope gradient. In other words, with the change of the pitch angle, angle of attack of wing, how much the coefficient of lift changes.
Approach 127.715.831.
If you have a military airplane with like a delta wing, there's hardly, you have to actually change the pitch angle, the angle of attack so much before the coefficient of lift changes significantly. And that makes it extremely stable in gusty, turbulent, convective, unstable air. If you have a very thin wing, like on a glider or something like a diamond, then those airplanes can be very, very susceptible, and you can really, really feel the turbulence. I'm hoping in a future video I'm going to be able to talk to a pilot who actually experienced flutter in an airplane, exceeded VNE, and was not at altitude. It was not necessarily a true airspeed thing, although flutter does go by true airspeed. A lot of planes are certified by the indicated airspeed. Thus an idea, something to look at. A Cirrus, on the other hand, their VNE changes with altitude. I think it's above 17,500. The is at 25,000. So that's a calculated VNE. I'm not so sure that it was actually test flown to come up with those VNEs. I think it's a calculation. It has to do with max dive speed and other things that they calculated. So the turbulence, an airplane that has a really nice chord and has to change its angle of attack a lot more, so that's what they call the slope of coefficient of lift versus angle of attack is not a very steep slope like on some of the general aviation aircraft that have very thin, long wings. So short delta wings, an increased aspect ratio can make it much more sensitive to turbulence. Density altitude is going to be a lot higher because of our temperature is a lot higher than in a standard atmosphere at 12,500.
27.72, 529er Sierra Delta.
2 degrees per 1,000 feet, so we're at 25 degrees, less than 15, we should be negative 10. Currently we're positive 8, so we're 18 degrees higher. Our density altitude is going to be much higher than 12,500. Let's see what the computers are showing. And the computer shows it indicated altitude 12.5 and density altitude is 14,546, which makes sense because our temperature is much higher than in a standard atmosphere. Even though we're at the pressure altitude of 12,500, we're not at the density altitude. And notice the root of the Mooney wing. It's kind of a significant chord length on that. These airplanes are actually fairly stable given how efficient they are and the kind of glide ratio they have. Almost, and I think we can show that they probably do, if you have any oil pressure left and you're able to feather the propeller, you can get a glide ratio of about 12 to 1 on these. I think the book is 11.5 or 11.4 or something like that, but you feather the propeller. There's not a lot of windmilling propeller drag, but there is some. 90%. You got that? 90%. The most sensitive organ in the body to the oxygen is the retina. And so if you fly over a town at nighttime, anywhere above 8,000 feet, say 10,000 feet, just fly over town at nighttime for a while, and then you put the oxygen on, it looks like somebody turned the lights up in the city. Even though you think you're doing well at certain altitudes, may not be. So if you move around and you start expending energy, you increase what they call your V.O2, your metabolic equivalence. You start, if I move around. So I did this at like flight level 250 when I was wearing oxygen, and I started moving around a little bit, and I checked my pulse ox again, because you have a gauge, you can adjust it, how much oxygen, what you're going to need for the different altitude that you're at, right? So if you adjust it for flight level 250, and you know you're getting enough oxygen, and you measure it, and it's like 92, 93, then you start moving around, it can go down to like 80. So it depends on how much energy you're expending. And if you're just sitting in your seat just watching the plane fly, you don't need a lot of oxygen. But if you're moving around, you definitely need more oxygen. And I know my symptom when I get lack of oxygen. So nice if people could know, if everyone could know their symptoms. Some people get headaches again, some people get goofy, disoriented, they make stupid decisions. Some people get shortness of breath, like, and they just, so each person's a little bit different in the symptoms they get. When there's energy in the air, it's like a glider. When there's energy in the air, you can stay afloat, right? So in a plane like this, when there's energy in the air, like if you're over an area if you're over like vegetation, it sucks you down. If you're over asphalt, there's updrafts, right? So in a glider, we know where to go to try and stay afloat as long as you can. Although some funny stories about some glider pilots when they're first starting out, as a friend of mine said, you can take the altitude and divide it by the
sink rate of the airplane, that's exactly when they're going to be back down on the ground. But you get a good glider pilot, they can fly these updrafts and these thermals, as we call them. But if you're in a plane like this, you're still affected by it. You don't realize it. The more efficient the airplane is, the more that you're affected by it. But if you're all of a sudden find yourself over an area of vegetation or sometimes the water, but if you find yourself over, hot concrete or something of that nature where you're getting updrafts, all of a sudden now your true airspeed goes up and then sometimes you can feel it just in the turbulence that's like the energy that's in the air. And with that energy in the air, the plane can use more of its power for forward momentum rather than lift. We're averaging about 205, but sometimes we're 207, 208 on, for 5-6 minutes. Sometimes we're 203 for 5 or 6 minutes. And the difference is going to be when you're this close to the ground, the differences are going to be with updrafts, downdrafts. I'm hoping to do some future videos with a lot more IFR. There is one IFR video that's coming out, just a short trip, but really instruments, makes you the best pilot. Attitude flying and knowing exactly how your plane is going to... I'd like to do a video on flying an actual approach, obviously in VMC, flying an approach with this airplane, showing, I think we can do it about 3.6, maybe 4 degree slope. Most instrument approaches are around 3, although some of them have a higher approach angle. And I think if you were to lose an engine, I believe, I have to show this, if you were to lose an engine, I think you could do it with a 4 degree slope in this airplane, which is roughly 400 feet nautical mile, right? So at a 0 degree pitch angle is oftentimes the best glide of the airplane. Familiarize yourself with the airplane. Know what your airplane does. So we have a 6-knot headwind, so that's and about 1/10 of our landing speed, so it's going to be 0.9 squared. So we use 19% less runway. And it's roughly at sea level.
112 Tango, fly heading, disregard.
The density altitude a little higher because it's hotter out. And if we're good, we get our approach speeds down a little low, we can land in less than half the runway. But roll out even without brakes right to the FBO. How much room do we have on the other side of the last Bravo airspace? We have 10 miles. 10,000 feet, 10 miles, coming down at least 2 miles a minute. That's going to be 2,000 feet per minute, so that's too much. We're really going to have to slow down when we get to the other side. As soon as we get past here, we can start down below 10,000 and then go around the east end of the airspace. That's what we'll do to get down today. If you've used it before, you can go to recently used and map waypoint will be in there. That's 35 miles or 34 miles, 33 point something miles from the airport. That'll give us plenty of time to get down. And if we go down at a nice 3 miles per minute, that'll be 10 minutes, 1,000 feet per minute. That'll be great. That'll be perfect. So let's just go it that way. And when we get to that map waypoint, we want to be ideally at about 8,000 feet or so. We get 8,500 for right now. And then when we start down, we can actually put vertical path in.
So maintain VFR at or above 6,500 for traffic. At or above 6,500.
When we get there automatically, it'll start down. And you can see that the top of descent is there, right? So the top of descent will actually be outside of the airspace already is when we start down. Be at 8,000. So what I like to do, I like to go directly to the airport facility directory. That's where you get the most information. For Gnoss Field, you can see that there's a lot of parachute jumping. We will be landing on 1-3 and straight-in landings on 3-1. Runway 1-3 has paved 125-foot overrun in case land long. Standard patterns. There'll be a left-hand pattern for runway 1-3. We'll enter at 45 degrees. Left downwind. Sometimes under runway they give you more information. Traffic pattern left, yeah, so everything is as we expect there. We should probably get this down to pattern altitude. Let's do an off-track set DVO. And offset. So we want to do 5 nautical miles before the airport, or so. Say 4 nautical miles before the airport. And we want to be at...
2 Juliet Bravo, contact NorCal approach on 135.1. Have a good day.
We're at 35.1 now, 782 Juliet Bravo, thank you.
Number 2 Juliet Bravo, just want to verify 135.1.
135.1, 782 Juliet Bravo, thank you.
Thank you.
And so let's take it down to about 1,000 feet, 4 nautical miles away. And we'll just fly it all the way down there. So I've created a point 4 nautical miles from the airport, and I'll take the airplane down there. I did a long track offset. Let me see, up in that area, going underneath this class Bravo. So we're going over this portion of the class Bravo. Then we're going to tuck underneath that portion to get to the airport. Still having enough potential energy, turning it into kinetic energy, keeping our speeds up so it won't add much time. Now, if they weren't busy, for instance, and we were coming down, they might let us down through this area because Oakland kind of takes off this way, but Buchanan goes this way. So we have to be out of the way of departure and arrival corridors. So they all kind of go this way. San Jose, Oakland, and SFO. So we wouldn't really be in anybody's way. If we do this, then we run the greatest chance of getting there without interruption. I like watching a lot of the YouTube videos myself to get some video tips. I do follow Trent Palmer. Shout out to Trent for doing such a great job. I think probably the earlier ones used big rocks, long props. But I really like watching Stephan Drury. Shout out. He does such a good job. That is so professionally done. One of the things I don't like doing is teaching IFR and VFR conditions. I almost insist that we find IFR somewhere and teach IFR conditions. I've had so many students that the first time they ended up in real IFR was such a surprise to them. And to see their reactions is very interesting when you can't even see your own wingtips. We're coming back on our power and might have to do a little bit of an uncomfortable descent here. Now we're using obviously our potential energy. And you can see, I believe you can see the Golden Gate Bridge over there, right? Yeah, you can see the Golden Gate Bridge from here. I gotta watch out for max speed now.
0.55 with the speed assignment.
13455, well, no,
The nose up a little bit. Our speed down. Okay.
Number 2 Juliet Bravo, contact approach 120.9.
120.9, 782 Juliet Bravo. NorCal, 782 Juliet Bravo, checking in 10,800 descending.
782 Juliet Bravo, NorCal approach, Roger, Oakland, altimeter is 2991.
991, 2 Juliet Bravo. The runway is almost sea level, it's 4 feet. Notice I went around Alcatraz.
Would you want flight following us to Oakland Center?
Yeah, traffic advisories would be great between here and Gnoss for 782 Juliet Bravo. Just on the other side is Gnoss Field.
436 report that.
So this will take us directly to like a 45-degree downwind because the runway is 13. So it's like this. And we'll go directly to a 45-degree left downwind.
Only 100 approach.
The right altitude.
2 Juliet Bravo, unable to fly following with Oakland Center. Radar service terminated. Squawk VFR, chain 2 advisor, frequency approved.
Thanks for trying. 782 Juliet Bravo, good day. And we're still 10 miles out, 12 miles out. And Gnoss Field traffic, Mooney 782 Juliet Bravo is 12.5 miles to the east-southeast, descending out of 3,000, going to enter a midfield left downwind for runway 13, Gnoss Field. This is beautiful in here, isn't it? Wish we didn't have the temperature inversion in the hot air. Not a big fan of hot air. Gnoss traffic, Mooney 782 Juliet Bravo, descending at a 1,700. We're 7 miles to the east-southeast of the field, going to enter a midfield 45 to left downwind runway 13, Gnoss Field. All right, we're going to take the autopilot off. Fly the airplane. You're off. Lost traffic, Mooney 782 Juliet Bravo, descending at 1,200, going to enter a midfield just 4 miles out of the east-southeast of the field, entering a 45, midfield left downwind runway 13 Gnoss. Lost traffic 782 Juliet Bravo, coming up on a midfield left downwind runway 13 Gnoss. Alright, gears coming down. Alright, undercarriage, mixture prop. Second notch of flaps 2, why not? Field 782 Juliet Bravo is on a left downwind, runway 13 Gnoss.
Stall. 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 Stall.
Gnoss Field 782 Juliet Bravo, clear the active on Charlie.
See you in Sausalito. Thanks for joining.
And we're on a bike path in Sausalito. We just saw, as you'll see, a beaver on floats on the bay. And they have these interesting houses. And we're on our way into downtown Sausalito. This house is shaped like a boat, and they all have different shapes and wild colors, but that one's pretty cool. I like it. Come with us. This is a gorgeous trip. It's amazing what general aviation affords you. So we're here at Poggio in Sausalito. I love this place. There's a beautiful view of the bay. There's a band playing over there because it's Friday night. I don't think this needs any introduction. So we're heading up over the bridge. Come join us. Look at that beautiful fog. It's gorgeous. This is really cool. We're kind of half in very cool, chilly fog, very moist. And then when the sun comes out and the wind stops, it gets really hot. It's really cool. I believe after biking this route today that we're actually back here. I wish we could have gotten more photos and videos for you from the bridge, but that's something that I think everyone should try. And with the amount of people that were up there, I think pretty much everyone has or is going to try that. The bike ride across the bridge is so cool. There's got to be, at least today, when you see that ocean breeze with the fog and the mist coming through, there's at least a 15 degrees Celsius change in temperature. And you probably feel more because as soon as you get out of that wind, then it just, you have to take the sweaters off. I'm sort of back in the area now, so I have my sweater back on. The bicyclists are at about, I'm going to say about a 10 to 12 degree lean into the wind. That's how strong the wind was today. But it was absolutely awesome. The views are fabulous. It's an experience, and shout out to Vacation Bike Rentals and Dave. Absolutely fabulous bikes. I mean, with the brakes, everything on these bikes were perfect. They were perfectly tuned, perfectly balanced. Shout out. It was a super trip. I couldn't imagine taking a lesser bike over that bridge. So I hope you enjoy it. Wish we had more photos from over the bridge for you.